Hi everyone, I'm Luciano Scalise, Managing Director, Decision Analytics EMEA and APAC at Experian. A very warm welcome to our forum today. The theme today is the new era of decisioning. And true to this theme, we will be sharing the latest in decisioning trends and how businesses are using decisioning platforms to stay ahead of the curve. Businesses today face the challenge of handling an ever-increasing number of decisions. Research from Forrester shows that this challenge is likely to grow in the future in tandem with rising customer expectations. Whether you are in the telco industry or finance industry, keeping your customers happy is a top priority. When we think about customer centricity, we also need to have the right infrastructure in place to make this customer centricity a reality. With today's rapidly changing environment, we need tools that drive more accurate decisions. This means having software that adapts quickly but accurately, whether that's deploying new machine learning models or responding to external events. We need solutions that are built on the cloud, facilitating to keep up with the speed of technological change. That's why, for today's forum, we've invited international speakers who will share their personal experiences of how they've used digital decisioning to their advantage. By leveraging decisioning platforms such as Powercurve, they were able to manage complex models and turn insights into action faster than before. Our speakers will cover digitalization and the use of new and non-traditional data sources. Through their in-depth interviews, we will hear from them about how Powercurve has enabled their strategy. Our speakers today will cover the following topic. Firstly, trends and insights on digitalization, customer experience, and innovation. We are seeing a growing number of businesses of all sizes who are embracing data-driven decisioning and shifting to the cloud. The pandemic has catalyzed the digitalization process, compressing what we would have done in years in a much shorter time. Businesses that can digitalize quickly, all while delivering an excellent customer experience, will be the ones that succeed in the long run. Next, we'll hear from companies who have improved their business performance by using new non-traditional data sources and machine learning. With machine learning capabilities, businesses can make the most of their insights from their data to create better outcomes for their customers. It is a must-have in accelerating productivity today, with many top financial institutions running incredible programs anchored by machine learning without compromising their compliance with regulation. We'll also be hearing from companies who have advanced and improved their strategy with assisted strategy design. Assisted strategy design is an optional feature in Powercurve. It is a data-driven strategy design software element to help your strategies become more accurate. It solves many of the problems related to design, implementation, and maintaining your customer decision strategies. Finally, we'll learn about how Experian's Powercurve cloud-based solutions are helping businesses to get ahead. Our speakers will talk about how Powercurve solutions empower businesses to stay flexible and nimble in a dynamic business environment. The cloud offers numerous benefits, reducing your IT overheads, offering flexible pricing, automatic updates, and most importantly, getting up and running in days or weeks. A cloud strategy is a great example of innovation, as businesses get automatic access to new features that address changing market conditions, which in turn creates their own innovation culture. We've got an exciting agenda ahead, and I hope you'll find today's content useful. We'll be sharing a recording of today's session. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the forum.
Hello everyone and welcome to our first session. My name is Paul Heaton, Head of Proposition Marketing for Experian. Today I'm really pleased to share some of the key findings from our latest research that we've commissioned with Forrester Consulting. This is an annual survey that we run to uncover business priorities and consumer needs. In August of this year, we surveyed almost 600 businesses across financial services and telecoms, and more than 3,000 consumers across 6 EMEA markets. The findings reveal a common set of challenges and perspectives across geographies, some of which I'll take you through today. The first part of the presentation covers consumer attitudes towards data and the sharing of data and what this means for businesses when it comes to open banking, and ultimately the move towards open data. Then we'll look at business priorities and budget investment for the 12 months ahead. Firstly, the findings reveal some skepticism from consumers in regards to how data is used by businesses. More than half of our consumers feel it is really hard to understand how companies use their data. In a digital world, it feels like we're forever filling in online forms, providing information to businesses we interact with, but seemingly there is a lack of clarity or indeed communication in terms of what that data is required for and how it will be used to benefit the customer. 56% of consumers feel their personal data is being shared between companies without their knowledge, which is likely to create mistrust and unease in terms of willingness to share data. Almost half of consumers don't feel there is enough security measures in place to protect their data. Protecting data is critical. As we all know, the consequences are severe, both financially and reputationally. So organizations must focus on addressing consumer concerns around data privacy and protection. And as open banking develops further, protecting data will be even more critical as identity becomes more and more digitally enabled. More on that later. However, consumers generally understand that if they want to access a product or service and be best protected against fraud, then they have to share some personal data in order to do so. That in effect is part of the exchange. The question for businesses is how clear is the value exchange in these online interactions? When consumers expect near instant gratification, how can businesses provide clarity and confidence that data provided will deliver value back to the customer in the form of protection against fraud or a better loan rate or financing for a new mobile phone handset? It is really important that the value is clearly demonstrated. And when we think about instant gratification and the desire to have things quickly, it does impact the customer experience expectations. But rest assured, businesses can benefit from this increased expectation. 49% of consumers are willing to share their financial information via their banking app. This has increased by 6 percentage points from 43% last year, so trending nicely upwards with consumers more willing to share data. And many more will share their data for the right reason. For example, those that said no to sharing their data in our survey, 49% would change their mind if sharing their data meant a faster application journey, which of course it does. And 55% would share their transactional data to receive immediate access to funds. No more waiting for additional checks, they could be immediately accepted and granted funds. This consumer need poses a challenge for business, of course it does, but one that can be addressed by open banking, and in the process, help to increase the volume of customer consented journeys, unlocking incredibly valuable data to improve the predictiveness of lending decisions. At Experian, many of our clients offer this instant lending service to consumers, and really it's about whether you can increase the time to yes or time to decision for marginal cases that would normally go to review. Transactional data provides much more granular data that can allow, with advanced analytics, to develop a fast, accurate and automated decision so you can provide instant lending to even more customers. The time to decision is becoming more critical because consumers are placing greater importance on the simplicity of the application process. In fact, our research found that a simple application process was more important than whether they could afford the repayments, more important than security, and even the speed of access to the funds. It is really clear from the data that consumers do not want to be spending a lot of time completing information when applying for finance. So brands that deliver simplicity, that advertise the simplicity of the process to prospects, are likely to win out against those that are still lumbered with manual steps and a slow and inconvenient journey. From a business perspective, open banking is strategically important in trying to deliver faster time to yes, but also more accurate decisions. Overall, 39% of businesses have invested in open banking already, 43% for financial services and 32% for telecoms. However, 27% of telecoms businesses are planning to invest in open banking in the next 12 months, so many are actively looking to place investment in this area. 52% of organizations are already seeing significant value from their open banking projects. At Experian, we know that clients are benefiting from open banking in a number of ways. Improved predictiveness of models resulting from an uplift in the Gini coefficient. There are notable improvements in time to yes by using open banking for affordability analysis, replacing manual processes. And there are many, many more. And there are also new use cases developing all the time. So how do firms plan to utilize open banking? Well, risk assessment is a top priority, along with direct payment services. Affordability and various forms of verification are also important. In fact, what is striking is the breadth of these high and critical priorities. It goes to show the range of applications of open banking and how businesses plan to deliver return on investment by applying PSD2 in many areas of their business, or to support several aspects within an existing process. PSD2 opens up a new world and paves the way for open finance and ultimately open data. We're already seeing a move away from the old world of manual customer steps such as printing and sending in documents, but also less of the digital steps that still create friction in the process, such as downloading a payslip from one portal and then uploading to another. In the new world, data is transferred effortlessly post-consent via secure APIs so that the flow of information happens near instantaneously. With open finance, we are seeing further data connections develop all the time. In the UK, Experian have recently launched Work Report, where we've joined forces with payroll software providers and employers to allow consumers to instantly share employment and income information directly from their payroll. This removes manual document collection altogether, and with data digitally shared in seconds, it delivers a 60% reduction in time taken to source payslip information. A smoother experience for the customer and greater accuracy and confidence for businesses. When you start to join up some of these services, for example, the sharing of transactional data and employment data in a simple and secure way, you can see how this starts to provide better oversight of all financial income and expenses, allowing for instant application decisions. And remember, as this research has already highlighted, this speed of decision is being demanded by consumers. Taking it one step further, open data may also involve changes in the way we manage identity, and as a result, the way in which customers interact with businesses in a digital environment. For example, in June 2021, the European Commission proposed a European Digital Identity System. This would be available to all EU businesses, citizens and residents, allowing them to store identity-related data and official documents such as income statements, passports, even educational qualifications in a digital format. This data can be used as digital proof of identity across member states to enable citizens to access public and private services, ranging from renting a car to applying for a loan or a mortgage. In theory, taking the example of a loan, personal identity and financial documents would be held in a personal identity wallet. The user would allow access to specific documents from their personal wallet depending on the interaction, in this case a loan, selecting only the documents that are required for the application process. This is then securely sent to the lender for the purposes of completing the application checks. As you can imagine, the speed at which consumers can apply and then businesses can verify identity and run financial checks is shortened considerably. This is the future, and open banking really is just the beginning. Now I'm going to cover some of the priorities and key budget investment areas as highlighted from the research. Investing to improve protection against fraud is now the top business priority, alongside improving the customer experience. The research highlights a number of concerns that businesses have regarding fraud, such as the ability to accurately verify identity digitally, as well as balancing the need to improve revenue whilst reducing fraud losses. And we have much more on that in the main report. A new addition to this year is the prioritization of software as a service, which has entered the top 5 as investment in cloud-based services continues to grow due to businesses looking for more flexible IT infrastructure with less cost of ownership. In terms of technology adoption, the findings suggest that many businesses have already invested in cloud-based software, with 44% actively expanding or upgrading what they have in place at the moment. This highlights the fact that many businesses have developed a cloud-focused strategy with clear expansion plans for cloud-based software components. Machine learning is the biggest technology area for expected investment in the next 12 months, with 31% of businesses planning to do so. AI is at 27%, and of course, ML is a subset of AI, so there may be even more businesses planning to adopt machine learning within those responses as well. Coming back to the cloud-based software for a moment, the top reasons for investing in SaaS were access to more computing power, with 79% stating this is a very important reason behind their decision. 77% stated cost savings and lower cost of ownership, and the same amount stated that improving release frequency and deployment time was a key factor as well. So a range of benefits given here, including capacity, cost, flexibility, and ease of management. Moving on to AI and ML, we can see that the top focus area for deployment are data management, fraud risk decisioning, and the use with developing credit risk models. Access to new data sources means that firms need to utilize advanced analytics. AI and machine learning are changing the way we manage data, but also how firms assess creditworthiness and affordability by being able to manage and contextualize vast amount of data from traditional and non-traditional sources. With machine learning, it is now easier to take advantage of additional data sources quickly, understand what the data is revealing, and therefore enable faster time to market for the testing and deployment of new credit risk models and forecasting models. But challenges still remain when trying to implement and extract maximum value from AI and ML. The top challenges are increased IT complexity, followed by model deployment into live environments and the deployment into the decisioning system itself. At Experian, we want to make these things easier, and we'll cover later how Powercurve is supporting clients to deploy machine learning simply and effectively. A big barrier to realizing the potential of ML is a lack of in-house expertise, and this causes issues, especially in a fast-changing environment with new regulation, such as the EU AI Act, meaning businesses need to be across the latest developments and interpret what they mean for operational teams. As a result, more than half of the businesses on our survey believe they're already behind some of their competition in terms of AI and ML readiness. From a decisioning software perspective, it is really important that the tools within the software make working with ML easy, something that can be effectively managed by business users. This means that after the development of models by analytics teams, there is less reliance on those technical teams to then manage and deploy within the decisioning software. Because of the constantly evolving external landscape, organizations are finding that they need to update models and scores more frequently. Businesses require a simple and effective way of updating models in faster cycles. They also need more sophisticated models to better understand and assess customers, and they need to adapt to regulatory changes, all of which are making credit risk and affordability decisions more difficult. And underneath these difficulties is the underlying need for faster time to market, being able to implement and deliver new models, rules, strategies at speed so the business performance improvement can be realized quicker. We have already seen some of the business priorities highlighted by our respondents, but finally we'll look at the budget investment areas. As we can see, digitalization is a major focus of investment, both in terms of direct customer experience and the digitalization of internal tools and processes, as businesses continue to drive more efficient and effective operations. Digital investment will bring value and benefits to the core priorities highlighted in our research. For example, 64% of firms highlighted reducing the friction associated with identity verification as a high or critical business priority. Therefore, investment in electronic identity verification would reduce friction, help digitalize the customer experience, and would transform a manual internal process into largely a digital one, a good example of digitalization. Fraud prevention and advanced analytics are also seeing year-on-year budget increases, which can be used to deliver on the two priority areas of protection against fraud and improved customer experience. As we look to 2023 and beyond, the pace of digital transformation shows no signs of slowing. We're seeing more businesses invest in technology to improve performance, deliver greater operational efficiency, and power better customer experience. We're moving to an open data world. This will bring huge CX benefits, but businesses must keep in mind the need to provide clarity around the value exchange, the big why question. Sharing of data is trending upwards, but concerns around privacy remains. Tread carefully here and don't take it for granted. Advanced analytics is radically changing the way businesses operate, but the added complexity is proving challenging. Firms are seeing the value that AI and ML can bring and are looking to partners to help manage the increasing complexity of regulation and implementation. SaaS is now one of the top business priorities, with many organizations expanding or upgrading existing applications. CX and fraud remains a difficult balance to strike, with commercial and fraud teams needing to work closely to align on a strategy that delivers revenue whilst preventing fraud in a world where cases are on the rise and getting more and more progressively complex. And finally, I'm pleased to share that our full report based on the Forrester research will be launching very shortly, so please keep an eye out as we'll be sharing this with you very soon, where you can digest the full findings. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of the event and thank you for your attention.
Hello everyone, my name is Leandro Guerra, Head of Data Science and Analytical Platforms for Experian EMEA, and today we are going to talk about machine learning, operationalization, and machine learning explainability inside Powercurve. Now, what we know is that definitely the business, they are quite interested in AI. There has been an incredible push, and we know from several stats and researches, including the most recent one conducted by Forrester and Experian, that more than 2/3 of the businesses, they see value in AI. However, they are not so sure to some of the points, and they need to overcome yet some barriers. For example, how do I deploy the machine learning models into production? How do I explain them once they are live, running in my environment? But that is no longer an issue, because we can solve both of the main barriers with Powercurve. Now, how that is going to work? How do you fit the machine learning model into the decisioning processes? Actually, it's quite straightforward. We have only simple 6 steps in order to get it done. The first one, it's once you have your model developed, you just need to import it into Powercurve. So once you have it there, Powercurve Strat Management, for example, can receive into your analytics repository the model object, whatever from that it's coming from. Once that step is done, you just need to map the inputs. So your model has the attributes, and then such attributes and its outputs and its metadata needs to be just traced inside Powercurve. Again, very simple steps. That has been completed, you need to run and test and the validation to understand if your model is working fine, if it's getting back the data and producing the score that it should have been producing in the runtime environment. Then you add that into a strategy. Of course, this is what you are aiming for. So whatever are your processes, they are going to be attached to the model, and then the model is going to be part of the, for example, accept or decline strategy. That being completed, you go to the simulation to again understand if everything that you have traced so far from your strategy, it's precisely the way it should be. Now, once you have the simulation done, you go to the deployment. Now, you just literally press the button to have everything compressed into your folder, and then the decision agent is going to take care of everything that you need to be taken care of. That it's about the deployment. So 6 steps, quite straightforward, and now there is a plus, because still there is the need to overcome the barrier about explainability. And I'm pretty sure you are aware of the new European regulation, the AI Act, that it's going to oversee every kind of a machine learning model that we have within the European Union. Now, we can get you a solution, you can be ready for it with the machine learning explainability model. So again, just to take it back, why shall we explain machine learning models? First, to understand that they are not black boxes. And then we need to justify why a particular decision has been made. We can control why that decision or why the model is behaving in such a way, and also that helps us to improve and discover better models and keeping them being updated daily, day by day. Keeping them updated daily or whenever a refresh is needed. Now, with the same simplicity that we have deployed a model inside Powercurve, you can also have the explainability. Now, because there is always that gray area. So, for example, if we need to understand why a particular loan has not been given or why that loan should be given, especially on the gray areas, right? So a customer that has a halfway score. Now, shall I do what? How can I understand the model outcomes in order to try to even ensure that particular customer is within my strategy? So quite easily, you can have the machine learning explainability as a service. And what is it? So it's a one-to-many services, meaning that you just need one service to explain how many models you want. You don't need to worry about maintenance and updates because everything is automatically done by Powercurve for new model versions, of course, assuming that you keep the same typology, like a gradient boosting machine or a neural network. And last but not least, what really matters is that you get local explainability in runtime environment for every single record. And what is needed? Well, it's a very simple output. You just need your model file to get into the system, and then you also have a simplified output, that is the machine learning file that is going to be embedded within the Powercurve environment, and that's it. Again, the deployment, quite straightforward. So you have the machine learning explainability as a service that will get your model as an input. You don't need the data from your model depending on how the type of the outcome that you want to get. Now, within this machine learning explainability model, we are going to run the engine that will prepare the file to be embedded within Powercurve with the explainability, and using the same process that we have had for deploying the model, we are going also to deploy the machine learning model as well. And that file, it's going to be a PMML inside Powercurve, and then you are ready for machine learning explainability in production environment, for local explainability for every single record, and then you are going to be already ahead of the new regulation that it's gonna come. And that was it for today. Really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, I'm Marian Matakev, Head of Analytics for Central and Eastern Europe at Experian, and I'm here today to discuss decisioning automation with a special guest that I have on the line with us. This is Effie from Hellenic Bank. Effie, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everybody. I'm actually Associate Manager at Hellenic Bank in Cyprus, supervising the customer analytics and decisioning team, where our main focus is credit scoring and decision automation in Powercurve. That's our main focus.
Thank you for joining. As we said, we're going to discuss decisioning automation today. And I want to start with a question on your perception of Hellenic Bank's journey in the decisioning automation. How did you start? What challenges did you face? Also, where are you today and where do you want to go in the future?
Okay, yes. I have to say that the journey has been for the last 10 years that it happened to be, I was in the bank throughout. So I was in the bank and I was really working on this end. So I really know maybe sometimes too much for on that end. So it was about 10 years ago that we shifted to Powercurve in terms of origination, decisioning, automation. But at that point, it wasn't really decision automation. It was automation of assessment, not decision. So what we did 10 years ago, it was a very first step to help us organize databases in the world of application, the application processing. So create a database schema, keep inputs, outputs, structured data in a better format. That was a big milestone achieved 10 years ago. Of course, start engineering strategies, let's call it. But at that point, it was very, very basic. Empirical models or generic application scorecards, limited automation of policy assessment. Everything was in a limited format, not really adding much value in the process, but we built the foundation to use for the future developments. So that was, let's say, 10 years ago. That helped us to add some validations in the data capturing and so forth. Now, the big step was about 5 years ago, where not only we had origination strategy in Powercurve, but in Powercurve, we designed a customer management strategy. It sounds a bit, I don't know if it's unorthodox or if it's actually a best practice to do so. But the way we use it, it was, okay, since we are very familiar with SDS and we can design strategies, we designed the strategy to assess on a monthly basis our portfolio, let's say. So that was a new strategy, new process that gave us a lot of other possibilities. We introduced behavioral scoring for the first time to be automated on a monthly basis on our portfolio. It sounds like it was too late. I mean, I say 5 years ago, but we are trying to catch up. So we introduced the behavioral scoring in the bank. And on top of it, early warning triggering. We introduced much more policy rules and a lot of controls in the front end to improve the data quality. That was a very, very big step. So we introduced customer management, let's call it strategy, and we connected the results of that, the monthly results, to our origination strategy. So we start connecting the dots in order to have a more holistic customer assessment in an automated manner at the time of origination. So moving forward, we took that live, let's say 2018, but it was up to 2019 that was actually binding decisioning in the manner of first introduced system approvals. So just before that stage, it was just for information. It was providing a lot of automatic assessment, traffic lighting screens, which was a big step. But I mean, one could totally ignore it. I mean, nobody would care. And that's another thing I'll talk right after I complete the journey. So everybody wouldn't even know the existence of such an intelligent assessment. Now, in 2019, there was another big milestone, automatic system approvals for small tickets. I mean, people start caring about what's happening in that system because they could see some value adding. I mean, they could see that they can close small ticket decisioning at branch level. So since 2019, we have been working intensively to improve the brain. So we set up processes, concepts, but it's a constant work to improve this brain and this intelligent assessment. So it's a heavy modeling, let's say, period, while improving systems and processes connected to the Powercurve strategies that we have. We are still calling system approvals, but we still have human validation at the branch or at the division level for the input, because the system decision is as good as the application input in main areas that mainly affect the policy, not the ratings, because the ratings are we have a lot of things integrated automatically with databases, but policy assessment has to do with a lot of input in the application. So this is where we are. Our aim is to reach some international standards gradually for automatic approvals. It's a next step. The only channel at this stage is the branch. So once we optimize our intelligence, we need to move to digital channels and connect digital channels with decisioning, automatic decisioning. We'll see how fast we will go at that end of the journey, because what I have described, it took us 10 years to reach where we are now. So that's the journey. But the challenges, as you asked, Marianne, were a lot. And they are still a lot. The main challenge, of course, is people and adoption to new systems and circumstances. Yes, it was a major challenge, and it remains a major challenge. Not only in the adoption of models and ratings and trusting models and ratings, but even in automatic assessment of the policy. That sounds very direct, you just write rules. You take a sentence of the policy, you write a rule. You take another sentence, you write a rule. No, but the policy wasn't written in a manner of automation. So taking the policy was like, I don't know, a novel, a book, and try to take paragraph by paragraph and translate into rules that can be automated based on existing input information of the bank or information that you request the officer to key in. So that was a huge, huge challenge. And I have to say that since then, the risk department, the operational teams start converging in the concept of automation. So it was very difficult to draft it and start and kick it off. But since then, now at least key stakeholders of this automation, because this automation is not just Powercurve on analytics, they think in that, they put their shoes in the automation terms. So if they are going to amend the policy, they try to amend it in a way that can be automated. If they're going to be writing procedures, they're going to be written in a way they can be in Powercurve automated. So it's a journey. It was a very bumping road. I'm looking forward to better days, I have to say, based on what we have worked so far.
Okay, so thank you. That was a very extensive answer. But if I can summarize what you're saying, the biggest challenge is actually changing people's perception, changing people's minds, which makes sense, actually. The first change you need to do is in the mind. As some neurologists would say. Okay, we discussed challenges, which is one of the parts of the story, but if we turn to the other part, which is the positive one, what are the benefits that you're experiencing out of automation for you as an organization, but also ultimately for the end customer, because I believe we should always be customer-centric, right?
Yes, I think the benefits were huge, and I think it's the potential of further benefits that give us the strength to insist and improve what we have. So first of all, the focus is customer-centric strategies. So moving away from what are the bank's targets, we first need to think the customer. So at least that's the first principle down. Of course, in originations, this translates to quick time to decision, fair treatment of customers at origination strategies, which is huge. Of course, we affect time to decision. We are hoping to improve time to implementation, but anyway, time to decision is super important in several aspects. So in terms of customer management, okay, this is a bit behind the scenes for customer. It's for early warnings, it's for collections. It's basically for more efficiency and risk control of the bank. So at this stage. So our main focus is customer satisfaction in terms of origination. And in the meantime, have consistent risk assessment of the customers. This is something that couldn't even measure before having automated systems and databases, and creating reports and KPIs on how the decisions are made, what are the policy rules firing, why, what is the override of a policy breach, what is the override rate. So this automation gives us the opportunity to improve our processes, policies, because we can now monitor. So that's another key benefit, having the insight of what's going on in terms of originations, in terms of customer management. And of course, cost cutting and efficiency. Even before, even with the automatic assessment, not necessarily automatic decisioning, talking to reviewers and approvers of applications, they were saying that, I used to be able to review 10 applications per day, and now I can review 60. Just because I have a traffic light screen telling me whether I need to bother or not. Even, I'm not talking about automatic approvals. I'm talking about regular reviewers' practices. For small tickets, they were super fast. So this gave us efficiency, and also gave the approvers and the reviewers the time to dedicate on complicated cases, big tickets. So that's another major benefit. And we aim for the automatic approval percentage to go even higher, which is what is going to be reaching the customer end, fast decisioning on the customer end, and of course efficiency and hopefully cost cutting, in the sense of rediverting the human effort on more critical issues that they need somebody's attention.
Okay, so you mentioned the benefits for the customer, for the end customer, and the benefits for the organization. One of the things I'm picking up is the consistency in the decisions you're taking for each customer, and in order to do that, to take a decision really at customer level, of course we know that you need to have sufficient amount of data, and a lot of data. I believe Cyprus is not exactly a developed market when it comes to availability of data, right? You mentioned before that you didn't have a bureau score in the past as well. So how do you handle the data availability issues? What are the data sources you're using, and how do you optimally make use of the data you have?
Yeah, that's first of all, it's something that based on the last few years analysis, the wealth of internal data, it's huge. So yes, we try to optimize our insights based on our internal data. We are a bank. We are a very big and systematic bank of the island. Doesn't mean, for the for the island we are very big. So we do have a lot of information. So we invested a lot in the data engineering of our internal information, having a single source of truth, having all the systems exporting information in a central data warehouse that is accessible from the analytics and from the processes. So it was a huge journey to manage our internal information that is super wealthy. And I think every bank has so much to gain from their internal information. Now, this is what it's in our hands, and we optimize the usage of transactional data, credit card transactions, and so forth and so forth. Now, in terms of external data, we try to optimize whatever we can have. Our credit bureau has only banking data and snapshot data. So by snapshot data means we don't really get history of customer relation with other banks. It's a lot of information, but for the customer picture at that moment, without a score. So this is another area I have invested to gain the maximum information out of it in a consistent manner. So I have to say that 5 years ago, when trying to decode the policy, in the policy was saying, to approve, check that they have a clean report. Clean report. You could ask 10 people and get a different answer. What is a clean report? So I'm just saying that, yes, that raised the need, even with an empirical scorecard, let's say, to create an assessment of what a report is. Let's say an index from 1 to 9, what is a clean, amber, red? So we try to optimize the usage of that information to the best possible way. But the focus is that I'm sure in the internal data, there is even much more than we can eventually do now with the digital channels, the digital behavior of customers, which is our internal information still. I'm sure there are still areas that we should gradually explore. But that's where we stop.
Yes. I like the transactional database because I would say even large organizations in Europe, in Central Europe, in Eastern Europe as well, they're not able to utilize their transactional data to their optimum, basically. So I would say that's a very good piece of advice from you to actually focus on internal data as much as possible, especially in the case where you don't have an abundance of external data sources available. We're talking a lot about data, and you're talking about data and analytics, which actually is natural because you work in a centralized unit. I would say that's pretty, I wouldn't call it innovative, but still in the early stages of development, a perception to have a central data and analytics unit for a bank, and for not a small bank, like let's say in Cyprus, you're a big bank anyways. So having a central unit, what are for data and analytics, what are the peculiarities and what are the benefits on the other side of working on a daily basis? And also, since our event is related to decision engines, how does Powercurve help you in the relationship with all of the units which you have and all of the processes which you have in business, in regulations, in the different units you work with?
Yeah. Yes, again, a lot of things happened the last 5 years. I mean, that was a organizational change happened the last 5 years. So we were initially, as a, let's say, analytics team, under risk. However, we saw the need to move out of risk word, just because what we do, it was beyond risk. I mean, we facilitate business, we marketing. I mean, there are other functions that we serve. So that was a, let's say, innovative move at that point. Maybe we are a big bank, but we are still a small bank. So, so in that aspect, it was easier because we are not so many people. So we couldn't afford to have a risk analytics team, a retail analytics team, a finance analytics team. We couldn't afford to have such a thing. So since we had to serve everybody, we moved out. We moved out from the risk umbrella. And I have to say it was a very wise move, because not only we moved out of the risk, at least for our bank, doesn't mean this model will work for other banks. Moving out, it wasn't just moving analytics out of risk. It was merging analytics with data management team. That was a very, very good move. Data analytics, it was somewhere between IT world and business world. But we're heavily depending on data analytics and how we design our data architecture, warehouse architecture to facilitate analytics. So now we are 3 analytics teams and 2 data management teams under the data analytics unit. I am supervising one of the analytics teams that is more related to retail and decisioning. So this is the move. It brought a lot of efficiency, synergies together for optimizing what we are trying to do. So we are in a daily practice. I mean, if we want to do new features for model based on transactional data, we have to deep dive in a lot of detail, and we have data management team that really knows the systems and the extractions next to us. So we have these synergies all the time. For example, the other thing is that not being under risk, you can be independent. You can be independent in the sense that you not only with the models, but also with the strategies, and in translating not only policies, but business needs in the automatic strategies. You are in the middle and you are not under one unit, so you can balance things. The other very important thing is that in large banks, I assume that model development can be a separate team, but then you go to plug in models into strategies, and they might be conflicting elements in terms of what's the rating concept and what's the policy concept, and then you merge things together and you have conflicts. You might want to have a campaign to target young customers, but the model will penalize young customers. I mean, it's a very simple example. So we really see the issues, and we are proactive in doing analysis and deep dive in things that we could see that they are conflicting. Then Powercurve. It was a big debate, again, 5 years ago. Why should Powercurve being under analytics team? Where should that sit? There were people thinking, why shouldn't we going under, I don't know, business analyst teams or whatever, O&M or credit risk. But we have been insisting a lot that for our size, for our bank and our structure, if we split, having one team thinking of strategies design, connecting them to processes, but another team thinking about models and analysis, how to drive the strategies and the decisioning, you might run into conflicts. Then you have inefficiency in communicating proper messages from one team to the other, and you lose that power, and that we are in initial stages. So maybe if the whole automation in Hellenic Bank progress and it's more stable, because now we're in a very, very demanding journey running to bring things together. If we decentralize Powercurve from analytics and data management, it will be much slower. So we said, I think let's keep it for the at least next 5 years, and then we reassess whether more specialized teams should be managing this. But at this stage, I think we are very effective and efficient as a team. And if I talk about my team, which is customer analytics and decisioning, where it's all the credit scoring done and all the Powercurve strategies and the implementation and the testing we are a small team, but we have very, very good control of what's going on. So I think it's a very, at least for our maturity as a bank, for our size as an organization, it's a very good organization structure.
I must only agree with that. I could say that I'm fascinated by the use you have of the Powercurve platform under the different areas. It's probably due to the fact that you're a central unit, as we talked about, and you have access, and you're also working with various different departments, so you're able to plug in all of the needs into a single organization and into a single software even in that occasion. I could also say that to me was also innovative the fact that you started such an organization, because a few years ago is when actually people started doing that even in Western Europe, to have a central organization which would take care of most of the data and also analytics models and analysis in general. So I must say it was innovative back in the days for sure. I have also one additional question, one last one, which is around your experience working with Experian as a company and the services we offer in the space. How did we help you in the space of business consultancy, in the space of analytics? What's your experience in that area?
Yeah, I have to say that I think Experian and the people we are working with is just an extension of our team. I mean, it has been a very, very good and powerful collaboration, and it's evolving. I mean, looking back in time, it was just a software provider with consultancy as to how to actually implement your strategies. From that point on, it was how to design more and more strategies. And then we recently again, 4 or 5 years, we started working with Experian on the analytics world. It was we are a small team. We need very good collaborators. We need very effective consultancy, and that was it was a very good teaming, let's say, because now we have been working on this area with Experian all around, not only on delivery, but also on analytics and also on consultancy. So it's a very strong extended team that we have created, and I think we wouldn't achieve so much if we, for analytics, we work once with this vendor, once with the other vendor, business consultancy, once with this notion, once with the other, and we lose focus. We have been focused and we have been working closely, and yeah, I have to say we are a very good team with Experian. Yes.
Thanks, Effie. I would say also thank you for the collaboration so far. I hope we expand that collaboration and even help you utilize the tools you have in a better way, in an optimal way in the future. Thank you for that conversation. To me, it was quite interesting to hear your journey, to hear the challenges you face, the benefits you have out of automating your decisions, and how did you go about those in the past, but also how you're planning to do that in the future. To me, again, it was quite innovative to start that decision and analytics unit back in the days, and I think you're reaping good benefits out of that because of the collaboration. But what you said about the people and changing their minds, I could really see that in Hellenic Bank, and that's why it's also a pleasure for us to work with you. Thank you, Effie. Thanks once again for this conversation. I speak to you.
Thank you.
Hola, bienvenidos al Powercurve Forum de Experian. Tenemos con nosotros a Raúl Clemente, de Banco Santander. Raúl es licenciado en matemáticas, lleva 15 años trabajando en Banco Santander, en las oficinas de Madrid. Él es responsable de motores y arquitectura, siempre dentro del área de riesgos y siempre vinculado a lo que es la definición e implementación de las estrategias de decisión y de preaprobación dentro del banco. Bienvenido, Raúl.
Muchas gracias, Antonio. Un placer poder participar en este Powercurve Forum.
Muchas gracias. La primera pregunta. La pandemia ha provocado una disminución en el rendimiento de los modelos de scoring para muchas entidades financieras. Y estáis pensando cómo poder utilizar datos adicionales para impulsar el rendimiento de vuestros modelos. Hasta un 62% de las entidades creen que necesitan más datos, ¿vale?, para sus equipos analíticos. Y según nuestras estadísticas, hasta un 65% busca explorar nuevas fuentes de datos, como por ejemplo datos transaccionales y de Open Banking, ¿vale?, PSD2. ¿Cuáles pensáis que deberían ser las estrategias más adecuadas que afronte el sector de cara a las nuevas fuentes de datos y cómo se pueden implementar estas dentro de la práctica del crédito bancario?
Pues sí, Antonio. Sin duda alguna, los datos extraídos de las transacciones de un cliente tienen gran potencia de cara a la construcción de un modelo de scoring. No hay más que ver los modelos desarrollados para poblaciones de clientes muy vinculadas a nuestras entidades, los cuales tienen unos indicadores de predicción muy altos. Aquí el reto es extrapolar esto a los nuevos clientes o a los clientes menos vinculados, de tal forma que podamos conseguir la información de manera estructurada, con una buena categorización de esos movimientos, integrada en nuestros procesos y herramientas, obviamente siempre siendo compliance con los clientes y aportando flujos de contratación. Esto es muy importante para que no despierten inquietudes ni inseguridades en ellos, porque creo que aquí la pregunta es si está el mercado o más bien si están los clientes suficientemente maduros o confiados para abrir sus cuentas a otras entidades, ¿no? Y luego, pues, desde nuestro punto de vista, ¿cuánto tiempo necesitamos las entidades para desarrollar en base a esos datos modelos robustos y al amparo de los requerimientos regulatorios?
Vale. ¿Cómo crees que se complementan estos datos transaccionales de Open Banking con datos de buró de crédito que han sido la base de las decisiones de solvencia y capacidad de pago durante estos últimos años en los
Bien,
bancos?
con Open Banking, como decíamos, estos datos transaccionales lo que van a aportar es una foto muy completa, ¿no?, de la salud financiera del cliente, y creo que ayudándonos en varios sentidos. Affordability, pues cálculos reales de su capacidad de endeudamiento con estimación de ingresos, gastos, e importante, también muy importante, ¿no?, la recurrencia y por ende la seguridad de esos ingresos. Y luego, a colación con los burós, yo creo que también alertas de impago, ¿no?, o mal comportamiento que podemos reconocer en los movimientos de cuenta con mayor celeridad que lo que nos puede aportar el buró. Y bueno, yo creo que como tercer punto relevante, también lo hemos comentado en la primera cuestión, el poder tener modelos muy potentes basados en estos datos transaccionales que sabemos que dan altos índices de discriminación.
Perfecto. ¿Cuáles crees que son los mayores beneficios para el consumidor de Open Data? Open Data es otra fuente, digamos, alternativa de datos basada en el acceso a fuentes públicas.
Sí, ahí estamos indagando muy mucho este mercado, ¿no? Pues sin duda, para el consumidor puede cambiar la relación que tenemos con él, ¿no? Y más si también viene acompañado con el Open Banking que comentábamos. De tal manera que podremos poner a su alcance una financiación con procesos paperless, obviamente con un ahorro para el consumidor de tiempo en trámites, desplazamientos, libertad de horarios, ¿no?, agilidad también en la resolución de la solicitud, el time to yes. Y luego en soluciones que seamos capaces de integrar en nuestros sistemas, pues también cierta confidencialidad en el tratamiento de los datos, ¿no? Pero bueno, de nuevo, al igual que el Open Banking, ¿no?, hay que preguntarse hasta qué punto está interiorizado en el consumidor la confianza necesaria para permitir a los bancos acceder a esa información. Ahora bien, si el consumidor nos lo va a permitir, oye, los beneficios no son únicos para el consumidor, ¿no? Para las entidades también son relevantes. Reducción del riesgo de fraude, riesgo operacional, optimizamos nuestros sistemas de decisión y obviamente una línea de ahorro de costes considerable, ¿no? O sea que yo creo que viene a sumar un poco en las dos líneas.
Ok. Todas estas nuevas fuentes de datos al final lo que complican un poco es, bueno, pues las capacidades analíticas y demás, y aquí entra un poco el uso de, bueno, pues de técnicas de analítica avanzada, machine learning y demás en el desarrollo de modelos de modelos de puntuación. ¿Habéis vosotros avanzado en este área? ¿No? Entiendo.
Obviamente, como dices, no es una metodología que está a la orden del día, teniendo poco a poco pues, relevancia dentro de los desarrollos de los modelos. Eso sí, aquí con cierta cautela, ¿no? Entre comillas, siempre teniendo en cuenta aspectos regulatorios. Sabéis de la magnitud del banco, ¿no? Y entonces con aspectos regulatorios siempre hay que tener mucho cuidado y definir estos modelos basados en estas metodologías Machine Learning muy, muy controlados para definir bien su perímetro de actuación, ¿no? Pero sí, gracias a las opciones que nos ofrece Powercurve, ya hemos realizado algunas pruebas de concepto en este sentido con modelos en formato PMML en este caso, pero bueno, avanzando efectivamente en lo que comentas.
Muy bien. Santander fue una de las primeras entidades en adoptar Powercurve, tanto para su cartera de personas físicas como jurídicas, hace ya casi 10 años. ¿Cómo valoráis el soporte recibido por parte de Experian, desde una perspectiva tanto de producto como de negocio? ¿Podemos mejorar en algo?
Pues sí, como dices, Antonio, llevamos ya unos cuantos años con Powercurve como piedra angular, ¿no? de nuestros sistemas de evaluación, en varias ramas además. Durante este tiempo pues, hemos tenido que afrontar diferentes challenges que se planteaban no solo desde el área de riesgos, sino también desde el punto de vista de necesidades del negocio. Y bueno, siempre de vuestra mano, ante cualquier necesidad, pues habéis estado disponibles a ayudar tanto en la parte más técnica, en la parte más de la arquitectura, como también en la funcional o del negocio, ¿no? Como sabemos, el sector está cambiando, el perfil del cliente y lo que demanda a las entidades está cambiando, la regulación está cambiando. Así que debemos continuar trabajando y colaborando para dar respuesta a todo ello, ¿no? Y a la pregunta de qué se puede mejorar, pues bueno, oye, en nuestro caso tenemos ya una relación de confianza, compromiso que hace que las cosas salgan. Quizás en ocasiones, oye, nos preguntamos aquí en el equipo, ¿no? En Santander, España, si la rutina del día a día, esos cambios que nos solicitan diariamente, hace que no estemos sacando quizás el máximo rendimiento a la herramienta, ¿no? Que nos quedan cosas por aprender o por conocer de la propia herramienta y ahí sí que oye, os pedimos que recurrentemente tengamos update y que nos contéis cosas, ¿no? Para estar muy al día.
Cuenta con ello. ¿Cuáles crees que son los beneficios de pasar los motores de decisión que actualmente, bueno, pues en la mayor parte de las entidades están on-premise a un mundo cloud, ¿vale? Y también, digamos, desde el punto de vista de innovación analítica.
Aquí hay un gran reto, ¿no? Y yo creo que los motores de decisión en cloud nos van a permitir utilizar nuevas fuentes de datos y luego una cosa importantísima, ¿no? Una mejor monitorización de las mismas. También nos tienen que venir a ayudar a esas actualizaciones, esos upgrades del software. Ahora nosotros tenemos, en el año que entra, tenemos con vosotros una que realizar. Entonces, esto probablemente nos va a venir a ayudar, ¿no? Teniendo las nuevas funcionalidades de la herramienta, pues en menor tiempo accesibles. Y podemos decir que, obviamente, una reducción de costes, ¿no? A priori respecto a estructuras on-premise. Por lo que la idea, pues, tiene que ser la de ir acometiendo la migración de los modelos de decisión a estos entornos cloud sin demorarse en exceso, obviamente.
Muy bien, Raúl. Bueno, muchísimas gracias por tu participación en este Powercurve Forum. Ha sido un auténtico placer.
Nada, igualmente. Gracias. Muchas gracias, Antonio. Gracias.
Gracias.
Hi, my name's Jim Noel, Senior Training Consultant at Experian. I'm going to talk today about the functionality that's available in assisted strategy design within Powercurve solutions. This functionality offers powerful and accessible analytics to help your business users build better performing strategies. Today, I'll show you how assisted strategy design allows the user to carry out node-level analysis for a tree and also identify the best segmentation to add to a tree node based on parameters that have been set up. This is achieved using built-in shade and cart algorithms that mine the data file to identify the most predictive characteristics and then offer the most effective segmentation splits from them. With the help of assisted design, a user can quickly and confidently build segmentation to a tree and create a strategy that finally segments a portfolio to apply the most appropriate actions. When setting up an assisted design project, the user specifies which field is to be used as the discriminator. In other words, how to differentiate between the effectiveness of different splits. For example, the good-bad flag could be used in an acquisition scenario, so splits are picked out that have very high or very low bad rates. The user also specifies which fields should be considered for potential segmentation. If necessary, the project can be set up so that splits are only suggested for intervals that match particular rounding values. For example, the intervals that are identified for a split for gross annual income may need to be rounded to the nearest £1,000. The tree grown profile can be set up so that it looks for particular types of splits, either two-way, three-way, four-way, five-way, or so on. This will obviously have an impact on the size of the tree that's created. One of the biggest challenges that an analyst faces when carrying out data-driven strategy design is making sure that the segmentation that's identified has not been overfitted to the analysis file. There are two safeguards that are available within assisted strategy design. Firstly, the user can say how many records need to fall into any new tree nodes that are created. If the user says that a node can contain only a small number of records, the analysis will look incredibly effective for the file that's being analysed, but it's unlikely to work on any other populations. Another way to mitigate against the risk of overfitting is to create a holdout sample and use this as a comparison dataset. The tree would be grown based on the data in the analysis file, but the effectiveness of the resulting splits can be checked against the validation file to make sure that it works for other data as well. Once the new segmentation has been chosen, it would normally be applied back into the original tree on a champion-challenger basis, with maybe only 5% of records using the new approach initially, just in case any issues arose. It could then be rolled out to perhaps 25% of the population, and direct comparisons could be drawn between the effectiveness of the new strategy versus the old one. Obviously, when there's confidence that the new strategy is delivering the expected benefits, it can be pushed out to be used for the whole population. The key advantage of this method of promoting the newly developed strategy is because the analysis is conducted in the same system that actually implements the strategy, there's no chance of misinterpretation or keying errors when applying the new strategy that's going to be used. Assisted design forms the basis for the popular SimRisk competition, which have been running for teams around the world for a few years. In this event, teams of 4 or 5 people get the chance to compete against other companies at setting the most profitable acquisition strategy for a fictitious portfolio of personal loans. As you can see, a wide range of different results have been achieved in this game. The teams that do the best in this event are those who Always focus on the potential profitability of the segmentation. Keep in mind the risk involved in accepting customers who are unlikely to pay back. But most importantly, take action, keeping discussion to a minimum when choosing between the different options. During the event, there are limits on the amount of time that's available. Finally, I'd just like to share a few top tips to think about when you're using assisted strategy design. Firstly, when analysing the performance of an account management strategy, you need to use segmentation based on the situation that was in place last month. In other words, before the last action was taken. If you look at the performance broken down by the current arrears stage, for example, it won't tell you how effective the action was that was applied last month. You'd be looking at the effect of the action rather than the cause. I know I've mentioned it before, but its importance really can't be overstated. Watch out for overfitting. A strategy may work brilliantly for the analysis data, but may not work for other accounts. Always use a holdout sample of comparison data to make sure that the strategy also works well on other records. To make sure it's a genuine control group, the selection of the comparison data needs to be done randomly, not because they meet particular criteria. And finally, segmentation trees can help. Sometimes, next best split will identify records with very bad performance, but the volumes are not as large as was hoped for. Converting the segmentation into a segmentation tree can open up many opportunities. I hope this session has been useful and gives you some ideas about how assisted strategy design would be of benefit on your portfolio. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Peter Sorrenti, Head of Product Management for Experian's Decisioning Software Solutions. Thank you for joining me for this session, where I have the pleasurable opportunity to share some insights into our capabilities and future plans for our decisioning solutions. In particular, I'll be addressing the transformation of our world-class Powercurve software suite that allows us to offer the same capability and more in the cloud as a SaaS solution. Just by way of quick orientation, here's what I'll cover. Briefly, I'll set the scene behind what is driving our product investments to demonstrate that we're really super focused on the priorities of the market and you, our customers. I'll then describe where we are in the journey to delivering on SaaS solutions and what the plans are for the future. I also want to touch on one of the key benefits of these SaaS solutions to you as a business. Finally, I'd like to give you a flavour of some of the specific enhancements we're making to the software application itself in the next 6 to 12 months. So let's start by quickly reminding ourselves of some of the key findings of the Forrester survey we were commissioned earlier this year. What I find interesting is that the highest ranked priority for the second year running is improving customer experience. Of course, good customer experience can contribute to achieving growth by getting new customers, but it also plays into the need to ensure that existing customers are given a good experience to improve retention. That would include how they access account services and how and when they receive communication from their provider. For example, when it comes to promoting new services and products, or when managing an account that's in arrears. Amongst the other top 5 priorities is the drive towards digitisation of core business processes. This isn't a particular surprise because it's one of the ways of making the business more efficient, enabling it to scale. This is a well-established priority over many years and actually tells us that despite the rapid advances being made in technology and wide adoption, there are still problems to solve and benefits to be gained from even further digitisation. This drive for more digitisation also applies to the customer to enable new and improved services to make their lives easier. Of course, this also talks to the main topic of improving customer experience too. A new addition this year is the prioritisation of software as a service, which has entered the top 5 as investment in cloud-based services continues to grow. The top reason that respondents gave for investing in SaaS was to get access to more computing power. This was closely followed by those who stated cost savings and lower cost of ownership were an important factor. The same importance was given to the benefit from improving the frequency of software upgrades and reduced deployment time. So, having briefly established what's on the mind of the markets, let's see how we've translated that here at Experian into how we think about innovation for our decisioning solutions. We've built our strategy around 5 main trends, which you can see here. First, we've seen and continue to see a rapid adoption of integrated solutions that include data, models developed using machine learning techniques, and decisioning to reduce time to market and risk. The benefits of greater precision from machine learning models within an automated decisioning environment are increasingly being borne out. From a data perspective, we see real-time, streaming data, complex structured and unstructured data being used more frequently to hyper-personalize the customer journey and addressing changing behaviours. The proliferation of diverse new data sources is providing opportunities to improve insight and drive more timely and accurate decisions. The third main theme is around user experience. The best decision platforms provide graphical user interfaces that don't require coding. This empowers all users to create and manage both simple and complex automated decisions. It truly democratizes what in the past has typically been a very specialist IT activity. It enables the business experts in an organization to take direct ownership of the definition, testing and deployment of their strategies and policies without an intermediary. When it comes to effective collaboration between business systems in a given ecosystem, it needs not only agile and digital ways of working, but also a developer experience built around APIs. This isn't merely a trend, but arguably a standard systems integration model across the IT industry. The last trend, particularly on the topic of the shift to software as a service, is continuing to grow at a great rate. The wider availability and acceptance of cloud-native technologies and the growth of public cloud providers is providing a credible, more cost-effective and flexible alternative to traditional software solution deployment methods. This is something I'll be unpacking specifically in this session. In fact, let's dive straight into the foundations of our Powercurve SaaS capability, the things that really underpin our offering. So let's start with security first. This is always top of our mind. It's non-negotiable and there's no room for compromise. We've built our own SaaS platform that we call Experian One that runs our Powercurve software as cloud-native applications on AWS. This platform and our applications adhere to our strict industry best practice security policies and uses highly secure, state-of-the-art tools, platforms, and infrastructure. Adherence to ISO 27001, SOC 2, PCI and GDPR standards and regulations are also central to our service. The nature of the SaaS platform means that we can deploy security patches at any time and in a seamless manner, which is transparent to our clients. In fact, it's not just timely security updates that our SaaS offering delivers. It also enables us to provide fully automated software upgrades, giving you access to new functionality whenever you choose to use it. You don't have to worry about costly and sometimes disruptive upgrade projects any longer. The same is true about software updates for defect fixes. These are applied automatically as soon as they have been built, tested and released by us, rather than requiring you to schedule, apply, test and promote them into your production installation. I already talked about API integration as being a de facto expectation in the IT industry, and our SaaS solution meets that expectation with its API and microservice architecture. It enables you to self-serve, to consume and integrate our services across your business. Agility and flexibility are always top of mind for all of us. We're building pre-configured solutions to meet specific market, industry and segment needs. I'll talk more about this in a moment, but it effectively provides a faster route to market for new credit products, or indeed new territories. We're also developing a comprehensive self-service option for our SaaS applications, so you can rapidly manage and execute your own changes continuously with little or no requirement to involve Experian. Again, I'll touch more on this shortly. Finally, as you might expect, our service offers 24/7 availability and is dynamically scalable to adapt to your needs, whether it's future growth or catering for varying demand during seasonal or cyclical market changes. So perhaps now is a good time to give you a peek into how you access our SaaS environment and complementary services. Essentially, all our services are accessed through a single secure portal using a standard internet browser. You'll be presented with a number of tiles that relate to the services you've signed up for, allowing you to switch between any of them at any time. This portal isn't only where you'll access the decisioning application software, but it's also where you can view business intelligence reports from those applications and administer your users and the configuration of the application. Not only this, but you also have direct access to digital training, including online interactive courses and other learning materials. Last but certainly not least, this same portal is your entry into the client support application, where you can raise queries and requests for support. You can find out the status of either of these with the progress tracker for open, pending and closed tickets. As we continue to enhance our SaaS offering, it's this portal that will be your single entry point for those enhancements, including new software application products and services. Now, I do think it's worth a quick look at one of the more significant factors that affect the case for adopting a SaaS approach to deploying our software in your business. Adopting a SaaS model to consume services removes a significant majority of your internal costs of running and maintaining on-premise software. These will vary from organisation to organisation, but typically some of the largest include having teams of people required to support the physical and technical infrastructure, deliver on service levels, supporting databases, interfaces, security updates and the like. There's also the license, support and maintenance fees for third-party software, including databases, operating systems and so on, as well as the cost to implement the regular upgrades together with the associated testing. On top of these operating costs, there's the capital expenditure required for the physical environments, including depreciation of hardware, as well as the operating costs for its periodic maintenance and further capital expenditure for its eventual replacement. There's also the governance of the application platform in your environment, including security and change management, as well as the technical tooling and processes you need to monitor the platform. All of this is removed or significantly reduced within the SaaS model. In fact, as you can see, McKinsey has estimated that an organisation can expect to see a reduction in the total cost of ownership of around 25%. We've seen examples in our own clients where this is significantly higher. Finally, on the topic of cost, you can see that those costs are far simpler and more transparent. Apart from the initial onboarding and configuration, the ongoing cost is largely based on how much you use the platform. This means that your costs are more directly related to your business and they track to your growth. Now let's take a look at where we are on our journey to providing Powercurve as a SaaS offering. Well, Powercurve originations and strategy management have been launched globally within the last 12 months. At the moment, we've got an install base of over 120 live installations across the world, which continues to grow as we onboard new clients and migrate others from their on-premise installations. For Powercurve originations, we've also built and launched a solution that we call Powercurve for Customer Acquisition. This is live with clients in the Netherlands and Spain, and we have plans to launch these solutions in more markets and build new ones to meet different targeted use cases. These solutions are targeted at smaller enterprises with typically lower volumes and less sophisticated requirements, and that don't want anything beyond what the full Powercurve originations offering provides. That said, it's still suitable for even the largest banks in certain scenarios. For example, a low cost and low risk way of entering and testing a new market. The same applies to the piloting of a new product in an existing market. It's possible to then evolve the solution to a full Powercurve origination solution if and when the demand needs it. This might be because more sophistication is required, such as additional data integration. This solution is pre-configured to meet specific market and industry vertical needs and use cases, with a relevant bureau and data links already in place, as well as scorecards and decision strategies. This makes it much quicker to deploy and more cost-effective to run for this particular scenario. At the moment, we don't have SaaS-enabled versions of Powercurve Customer Management or Powercurve Collections. However, the next priority for our roadmap is to focus on Powercurve Customer Management and making it available in the cloud as a SaaS offering. As you can see, our current target is to launch this sometime in 2023. Finally, we'll then be looking at what the SaaS solution could be to address the debt management part of the customer lifecycle. So now let's move on to our product roadmap for Powercurve. I'm going to share some of the things that are in progress or planned as part of our overall product development strategy. I've already mentioned that the rise of machine learning is a strong market trend and that Experian's strategy includes ongoing enablement of analytics and modelling into the Powercurve decision ecosystem. Integrating Powercurve to analytics environments refers to establishing a technical connection between Powercurve strategy management and either your own analytical platforms, such as SaaS, or Experian's cloud-based analytics platform we call Ascend. It means that it will be even quicker and easier to develop models in the analytics environment and then publish them in Powercurve strategy management production. It also includes the ability to close the loop between the live deployment of the models and the actual decisioning outcomes being fed back into the analytics platform. This allows further fine-tuning and redeployment of updated models quickly and efficiently. In this way, you can also quickly adapt to changing circumstances in your customer base or the market. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that regulators are tightening their requirements when it comes to being able to demonstrate fairness when using machine learning models, especially in automated decisioning in financial services. Whilst Powercurve strategy management already enables you to deploy machine learning models, but also taking the step to make it more straightforward for you to demonstrate compliance with the regulations. During 2023, we'll be introducing built-in explainability for machine learning models in Powercurve strategy management. In simple terms, it makes it easy to access and retrieve the raw data used in the ML model for each decision, as well as the outcome, including the so-called SHAP values, which are used to indicate which variables in the data contributed to the outcome and to what degree. Now I'd like to address another topic that is on the minds of our clients and the market at large. It's the subject of self-reliance. Self-reliance when it comes to managing changes to a decisioning solution, whether it relates to changing or adding data sources or launching new products. Whilst there is a recognition that vendors such as Experian have the expertise to be able to deliver on these changes, it really is preferable for some clients to be able to have more direct control over their destiny. So I'm going to talk to that topic with a few examples of what we're doing. What I'm sharing here is a very high-level insight into how we're thinking about enabling a higher degree of self-service. In fact, it's more than just thinking. We've built and deployed 2 releases of this capability for a large national financial institution in Asia Pacific, and the results of the pilot are proving very promising. So much so that we intend to look at planning for making it generally available sometime during late 2023. Bear in mind that this is an indicative timescale and not a commitment at this stage. One of the features of the service includes giving clients control over the creation and management of test and production environments for the SaaS application, as well as being able to monitor the performance of those environments and the application in near real time through a standard API. So now I'd like to dive a little bit deeper into one of these self-service roadmap features, specifically event management. Our plans for building what we're calling our event broker service are well underway, and our intent and approach is well defined. Essentially, we're making it possible for clients to configure the service to send event-based messages or data to their internal applications, or alternatively, to pull information about events and data from the service from those applications on demand. From an alarms and notifications perspective, you'll be able to configure the service to be triggered by many different types of event. When that event is triggered, a notification is automatically sent by email. Alternatively, or in addition, you can send messages via our REST API, which can then trigger another automated process in your internal systems. You can see the two examples I've provided here to distinguish between the business and technical events. This capability allows you to set triggers and alarms to get timely insight into what's happening in your solution, therefore the ability to respond accordingly. The other event process that you can set up is to stream data during the decision flow. This uses email notification too, then pushing the data you've configured to send via the REST API. The example I've given here is where the client wants to receive the decision outcome and the data used in the decision strategy and use it for further analysis. Finally, there's also going to be the option for you to pull data from the platform using a call to Experian's predefined REST API. This can be done at any time, hence the use of the term asynchronous. Here I've suggested an example scenario where the client might want to download historical decision data that might otherwise be purged after the predetermined data retention period. Next, I'd like to take a brief look at one of the most important developments we've been working on and will continue to invest in. That is data integration and data management. I've already spoken about the industry trend towards democratizing software systems to make them more accessible to business users. The low-code model is something we've embraced in our ongoing enhancement to the way in which data links are created and updated, and how that data is transformed and mapped into the decision environment for use in the decision strategies. Here you can get a flavour of what we've built so far. It's currently only available in our in-house delivery teams to help them be more efficient in building out new client deployments. However, in the relatively short term, perhaps during 2023, we'll be making this available to clients who need to be able to make such changes but want to self-serve over such changes. As you can see, the UI is highly visual, designed to be as intuitive as possible, something that is a reasonable expectation of contemporary feature sets such as this. It requires very little by way of coding, and we use REST APIs for the integration to the data sources themselves. Simplifying the approach to data integration and mapping in this manner goes a long way to enabling our clients to consume new data sources and put them to work in their strategies quickly and easily. It means they can use the new data to extract improved insights that will lead to more accurate decisions. Finally, I'd like to round off this session with a look at a topic which is allied to the one I just covered. That is simplifying the user experience, specifically for a user engaged in designing and modifying decision strategies. We're looking to apply our expertise in machine learning to help further optimize how decision strategies are designed. We already have an optional component of the Powercurve strategy management product called Assisted Strategy Design. This already delivers a significant uplift in the performance of a given strategy structure, but there is the potential for us to use machine learning models built from the experience and outcomes from other strategy designs. These models would be regularly updated to continue to improve their own performance, and ultimately would be the way a user can be expertly guided through the construction and tuning of their strategies. There's a lot of work yet to be done, but it's an exciting concept that holds a lot of promise at this point. We're going to follow a path to validate the feasibility and true value over the coming months. So with that, I've come to the end of my session, which was the last for this forum. I hope you found today's sessions informative, and please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you want to go into more detail on any specific point. We'd be happy to arrange a follow-up session with you. A special thank you to our guest speakers from Hellenic Bank and Santander who have been sharing their experience and insight on their business strategy. You'll all receive a link to access the recording of this event and a complimentary copy of the latest Forrester research. We hope you'll take the time to fill in the feedback questionnaire, as this is very important to us. Thank you for listening.